June 10, 1912. VILLISCA, Iowa. A sleepy, close-knit town where everyone knew your name, and children played freely in the streets. It was the kind of place where doors were left unlocked, and neighbors trusted one another without question. But that morning, the town awoke to a horror that would stain VILLISCA forever. Inside the Moore family home, 6-year-old Herman and Katherine Moore, their siblings, and 2 young friends from next door were found brutally murdered. Their bodies lay in their beds, faces covered in blood. The weapon? An axe. Still resting in the house, its handle slick, the blade dripping with violence. Not 1, not 2, but 8 lives had been snuffed out in the dead of night. The mother and father of the Moore children, along with the visiting girls, had no chance. They had gone to sleep in the safety of their home, only to wake, or never wake, to an unimaginable nightmare. News of the murders spread like wildfire. VILLISCA was paralyzed by fear. Doors that had once been left open now slammed shut. Children no longer played freely. And at the center of it all was the silent, bloody house at the corner of 8th and Jackson Streets. Neighbors reported seeing shadows flitting near the windows the night before. Some said they heard muffled cries or the scraping of something being dragged. But when anyone investigated, nothing appeared out of the ordinary. No footprints led away from the house, no signs of forced entry. The town's peace had been shattered, and with it, the illusion of safety. VILLISCA would never be the same. The morning of June 10th, 1912. The VILLISCA community was in shock. News of the murders spread like wildfire. Sheriff L.W. Snyder and a small team of detectives arrived at the Moore home to investigate a scene so horrifying it would haunt anyone who stepped inside. The bodies of the Moore family, Herman, Katherine, and their 4 children, alongside 2 visiting girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, were discovered in their beds. Each had been struck with the same axe, mercilessly, in a pattern that suggested someone had moved methodically through the house. Some were found in their rooms, others were in the darkened hallways. The killer had covered the mirrors, ensuring no reflection, no witness of their final moments. The weapon, a common household axe, lay at the crime scene. No fingerprints were conclusively identified. No footprints indicated how the murderer had entered or exited. The doors were locked from the inside, or appeared to be. There was no robbery, no ransom note. Only the grim, silent aftermath of 8 lives extinguished. Suspects quickly emerged. Some accused traveling preachers who had been seen in the area. Others pointed to local men with grudges or mysterious outsiders passing through town. One man, Reverend George Kelly, became a primary suspect. But after a trial filled with doubt and controversy, he was acquitted. The evidence was circumstantial, fleeting, and never enough to secure justice. Meanwhile, VILLISCA descended into paranoia. Families no longer trusted the streets at night. Every knock at the door, every shadow moving past a window set nerves on edge. People began locking windows, boarding doors, and carrying weapons to bed. The once peaceful town had become a place of fear. The sheriff's investigation hit roadblocks at every turn. Clues were scarce. Witnesses contradicted each other. Some reported seeing a man on the Moore property the night of the murders. Others swore no one had been around. And while the town waited for answers, the killer faded into history, leaving behind only the blood-stained halls of the Moore home as evidence of a night that could never be forgotten. Even today, investigators and historians revisit the case, trying to piece together the who, the why, and the how. But the truth remains elusive, hidden in the shadows of VILLISCA's dark streets. As the investigation stalled, the town of VILLISCA became obsessed with the Moore murders. Every passerby, every stranger, every shadow was a potential suspect. But beyond the human suspects, something far stranger began to emerge. Accounts that couldn't be explained, whispers of the house itself seeming alive. Neighbors reported seeing a dark figure moving near the Moore house late at night, long after the murders. Some claimed the figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving no footprints in the soft Iowa soil. Others described hearing muffled footsteps in the attic or the faint sound of a child's laugh echoing through empty rooms. One man, a traveling salesman who stayed in town briefly, claimed to see a man dressed in black leaving the Moore home shortly before sunrise on June 10th. The man carried an axe, but when the salesman ran to alert authorities, the figure had vanished into the shadows. Then came the more unsettling accounts, those that hinted at the house itself harboring something beyond comprehension. Visitors reported mirrors covered in streaks of red, doors slamming on their own, and a chilling cold that seemed to follow them from room to room. Some said they felt a presence, an invisible watcher pacing the halls. Even during daylight, people reported feeling watched, especially near the attic window where the youngest children had been found. Curious locals who dared to enter the house after the family had left told stories of cold spots, sudden drops in temperature, and the sensation that unseen hands were brushing against them. Paranormal investigators would later visit VILLISCA decades after the murders. They claimed to capture shadowy figures on camera, doors opening and closing on their own, and strange whispers when no one else was around. While skeptics dismissed these as hoaxes or imagination, the stories persisted, adding layers of unease to an already horrific tragedy. The Moore house became more than just the site of a massacre. It became a symbol of unresolved evil. 8 lives taken in a single night, a killer never caught, and a house that seemed to remember every strike of the axe. Even today, people who pass by the house at night report seeing flickers of light in empty windows, hearing footsteps on the porch, and feeling a presence that refuses to leave. VILLISCA had changed forever. What was once a sleepy town was now a place where shadows lingered, and the unanswered question haunted everyone. Who or what was responsible for the VILLISCA axe murders? Years have passed since that horrific night in June 1912. But the VILLISCA axe murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in American history. Despite numerous suspects, trials, and investigations, no one was ever convicted. The truth of what happened in that quiet Iowa home still eludes historians, detectives, and the families connected to the victims. Reverend George Kelly, a traveling preacher with a dark reputation, became the most notorious suspect. He had been in the area at the time and had a history of violent behavior, but the evidence was circumstantial at best. Kelly was tried twice and acquitted both times, leaving the town with more questions than answers. Other suspects, neighbors, strangers, even disgruntled employees, surfaced over the years, but all trails went cold. The Moore house itself became legendary. People claimed it was haunted, that the spirits of the murdered children and their family lingered in the halls. Paranormal investigators report doors slamming, footsteps echoing in empty rooms, and shadowy figures flickering in the corners of the house. Some say the house remembers the violence, holding on to the echoes of screams that were never answered. Tourists and thrill seekers visit VILLISCA to this day, drawn by the dark history. Many refuse to enter the house, fearing the lingering presence. Those who do enter often describe feeling watched, chills running down their spines, and an overwhelming sense of sadness. The house stands as a monument to the night when evil entered an ordinary town and left an indelible scar. The VILLISCA axe murders are not just a story of violence. They are a story of mystery, fear, and unanswered questions. 8 lives were taken in a single night, and the person or people responsible were never held accountable. VILLISCA, Iowa, may appear calm during the day, but at night, the shadows of that fateful June evening still linger. And perhaps the most terrifying part is this: some horrors never truly leave. They stay, waiting in the silence, in the darkness, and in the minds of those who dare to remember. The VILLISCA axe murders remain unsolved. 8 souls lost, a town forever changed, and a chilling reminder that sometimes the deadliest monsters are the ones we never see.